You've seen this before in the operant learning module. Behavior occurs in context. Behaviors don't occur in a vacuum, nor do they occur all the time. We'll get back to this in more detail when we get to the module about the ABCs of behavior. And as I mentioned, B is for behavior, C is for consequences, and A is about the context, the stimulus scenario and motivational state, the antecedents. As a trainer, you're responsible for the consequences, C, and for setting the stage so behavior will occur, A, setting up for success. Again, more about this in the ABC module, the next module. But we will start talking about A now in this one, because part of A is cues, and that is the main topic of this module. Let's look at when cues occur. For a trained behavior, perhaps something like this, a timeline. The cue is given, and then the animal does the desired behavior, which is reinforced. So time-wise, cues occur before behavior. They signal the opportunity of reinforcement. Cues may be provided by the environment, by other animals, or by people. They may be intentional or inadvertent. So what are cues, or discriminative stimuli, as they're also called, SDs? A discriminative stimulus is a stimulus in the presence of which a particular response will be reinforced. Let's look at some beer taps. These are discriminative stimuli. In this bar, the only way to get beer is to pay attention to and interact with these. You want Guinness? You're in luck. There's an SD here indicating that if you pull the Guinness tap, you will get Guinness beer. Getting beer is a consequence of pulling the tap. If you don't pull the tap, you won't get any beer. The tap signals, if you pull here, you will get beer. Without the tap, the behavior wouldn't work, and you wouldn't get beer by pulling something other than the tap. Do you have to pull the tap? No. Maybe you don't like beer. And the strength of the cue is related to the strength of the reinforcer. If you really, really like beer, you'll be more highly motivated to respond to the cue than if you're more like, meh. Let's take this kitty, for instance. If you open the refrigerator, that's the cue for this behavior. Is the SD, the discriminative stimulus, that sound. The cat might be sleeping in another room, but the cracking sound of the refrigerator door is an important SD, a cue. So the cat has learned that when she hears that sound, if she shows this behavior, she'll get tuna. Cat wants tuna. Lucky cat, there's an SD here indicating that if you perform begging behavior, you will get tuna. Getting tuna is a consequence of begging behavior. If you don't beg, you won't get any tuna. The sound of the fridge door opening signals, if you beg now, you'll get tuna. And without the fridge sound, the behavior wouldn't work. The cat wouldn't get tuna by begging. Does the cat have to beg? No. Maybe kitten doesn't like tuna. I should add that for many cat owners, this is inadvertent training. To the cat, it doesn't matter. The learning mechanisms are the same regardless of your intentions. The cat simply learns in which contexts different behaviors work. And many cat owners have trained their cats to sink their claws into their legs when the fridge door is opened. You've seen this before. Cartman, the fish. Lucky Cartman, there's an SD here indicating that if you touch the target, you will get something yummy. If Cartman doesn't touch it, he won't get his treat. Without the target, the behavior wouldn't work. Does he have to touch the target? No. One of the reasons why targets are so good to start out with is that in contrast to the cat example, the behavior cannot be carried out in the absence of the cue. There are no non-cued responses with targets like these. So context is important in determining behavior. And something within the context triggers the behavior. And it's that trigger that is the cue, the discriminative stimulus, the SD. And when I say trigger, I don't mean that it happens every time automatically, but it's the signal telling the animal, if you do it now, something nice will happen. The SD will signal when behavior pays off. For these zebras, the mere presence of a lion is not the discriminative stimulus to run. Sometimes the occasion isn't right. Running is costly, and it's only when the behavior pays off that they will run. Look, it's hot and dry. You don't run unless you have to. So if the lion comes within the flight distance, that's when the presence of a lion will become an SD for running. So running is a negatively reinforced behavior, and animal trainers typically call such an SD a command rather than a cue. Run or else. You might become lion food. Now, in the rest of this course, we'll talk about cues, SDs maintained by positive reinforcement. You can think of the cue as a green light. The signal is on. If you do the behavior, you'll get a reinforcer. It signals reinforcer availability. And here's a demonstration of a range of different cues and corresponding responses. The animals aren't confined but can choose to leave the tunnel and go outside at any moment. Aloha. 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 Hello, more.